All right, so we are live and we're going to go over questions. It's Christmas into New Year's week. Sounds like fun. So we're going to first do our weekly check-ins. I'll talk to you guys a little bit offline about that, but just let the rest of the group know. I'm seeing Sheila first on my list. So Sheila, how are you doing this week, and how have you been since we checked in last week?
Probably not as strong, but I'm not bad. I feel like I have eaten a few things, but it has not caused me to go overboard. But I just don't feel like I'm as strong as I was before as far as not having things. But I do feel like I bounce back a lot better than I used to. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, you only had that one very high day, and then
right.
after that, you've been right on par. So yeah, I mean, it's a tough time to stay on point. That's definitely for sure, especially if you have a bunch of family and a bunch of junk lying around.
Right.
But yeah, aside from Christmas Eve, which you owned up to, which was
Right.
good. I mean, that's one part of it. And to Michelle's question, which we'll get into in a little bit, that's something that that's going to determine if you're going to be successful or not. And you're definitely going to be successful. And the reason for that is you owned up to it, you forgave yourself, and since then you've been on track. So you don't have to eat high quality 100% of the time. If you deviate and it's 98% of the time, like tends to be with you, then I don't think that's really an issue. I think that's perfectly fine. You're staying within your macro ranges and you're continuing to see progress. So yeah, I definitely don't beat yourself up. You've been doing well. And yeah, like you said, if in the past you would have just caved in and had a tray of cookies or, gone off the rails, and now you're just having one and done, that's definitely progress. So it's definitely something to feel good about for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right, cool. And then Michelle, so you're just telling us offline right before we started, you experienced Christmas Eve and Christmas, and you did not cave in once. So let's hear a little bit about that.
Well, Christmas Eve is easy for me because I love fish and we do the fishes. So my game plan was just to eat protein, stick to the fish, and, the dessert I could skip. My family does Christmas Eve pretty late. Excuse me. So, by the time we ate dinner and stuff, I was good for the night. I didn't have to worry about dessert. So Christmas Eve was easy for me, except for my mom's rice balls. When she brought them out, I walked away.
Sometimes you just have to walk away.
Yeah. And I'm famous for walking away because Lisa can have a taste of something and be okay with that. I can't, and I know I can't. So I won't.
Right.
I wish I could, but I know I would never just have a taste. I would finish it.
Yeah.
So, and then Christmas Day was a little tougher because, it was at my mom's house and we kind of sit around the table the whole entire time. So that's a little rougher, but I did well then too, and I felt really good. Believe me, I wanted those Christmas cookies too, but I think I kind of was playing a game with myself to see how good I could be. So when I left, I was fine, so I was really, really proud of myself because I really didn't think I would do it.
Yeah, especially Christmas Day, it sounds like. Yeah, if you're sitting at the table and everything's just right there, that's a lot harder to, it's hard to walk away like you did on Christmas Eve. But yeah, it just goes to show you that it's possible. And, even if you had a little, like Lisa, there are people who are different. Like even me and my girlfriend, for example, she can have a bite of something, not even finish it. Like if she had a cookie, she could have one bite of the cookie and be fine. For me, it's give me the whole plate, give me the whole tray. I'm very much the same way. So yeah, you did exactly the right thing. And it's good that you know yourself in that respect. If you know it's going to just fly you off the handle, then stick to your guns like you did. But that is very empowering. That's very good. And I think tomorrow when we do our progress check in the morning, you're going to be pleased with the results because of that. So that's very good and good. Okay, great. So we're going to get into your questions heading forward. So Michelle, you sent in this. So the thread basically wanted to know what to do to remain successful throughout it. So, okay. So I boiled it down to three things. I mean, obviously, there's probably more to it than just the three things, but I boiled it down to three things. So, number one, work with me, computer, is you have all the knowledge you need. So, you guys, you went through the beta program. You're still in it. We've been on the macro thing for about a month now. You guys know what to do. You don't have to stick to the macro thing. I have those 3 phases of nutrition in the food guide. If you're not recalling all of the information there offhand, that's fine. You can just go back and reread it. But if you're staying in phase, anywhere from phase 1 to phase 3, you're going to be fine. You're not going to put on weight doing that. So you already have all the knowledge you need. Obviously, knowledge doesn't always beget taking action, and that's where number 2 comes in. And you need to continue to take action. So you guys have made this stuff a habit. You went through the beta program. It was 60 days. It was 2 months. It takes 56 days, according to studies, to form a habit. So this is now stuff that you've been doing very consistently over the last couple of months. I know it's been a little harder fitness-wise or to stay on track nutritionally now, but you guys have done very well, I have to say. I have private clients who have literally either gone off the rails or they're not even checking in with me. Like, I'm just seeing empty, empty, empty. And when I ask them what's going on, they're like, oh, it's the holidays. You're still tracking? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, just continue to take action. You guys are doing that. And then last but not least, and Sheila, this was to the point that I was mentioning to you, you need to learn to forgive yourself. So you had the day, you owned up to it. You didn't let it derail you like perhaps it would have in the past. Mm-hmm. And you didn't forget, because since then, you may not have been perfect, so to speak, but you're staying in your macro ranges, you're hitting your net carb range, and you're doing well. You worked out on Christmas. How many of us can say that? And that's just what you need to continue to do. You need to continue to take action. Forgive yourself when you do slip up. Don't let one bad day, one bad meal, whatever the case may be, become a multitude of days or weeks or months, and just continue to take the actions. You guys know everything you need. It's just, you need to stay consistent, never get too far from it. There will be periods of the year, like has happened to all of us, whether it's this time of year, the holidays, whether it's at work, whether you got other personal things going on. But at the end of the day, if you're continuing to make good choices nutritionally, you're continuing to exercise on a regular basis, you're going to be fine. So did that answer your question, Michelle? I see your audio's off.
You can't hear me?
Oh, now I can. You were muted for some reason, but I was able to unmute you.
Yes. You know what? You went out for a few minutes on me. I was able to get you back, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's my internet here, or I didn't know if Sheila had that problem too. No, but I did catch up.
No, yeah. You had been going in and out a little bit when you first started talking, and seemed to right the ship. So we got your message before I had to say anything. But yeah, so I was just asking you before. Now that I can hear you, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Okay, good. All right. So moving on. So. Any final questions? Anything come to mind, Sheila or Michelle, before we move forward? I'm going to go into a couple of things we're going to start next week. So I'll announce what we're going to go over in a second on Monday. But any final questions that you want?
I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. On my fitness app, when you log in your meal for the day and you hit complete diary, it gives you an estimate of what your weight's going to be like in 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. Is that according to our diet too? Because like our diet's a little different than their diet plan.
I don't think so. That's in accordance with your calorie restriction in respect to your height and weight and all that stuff that they ask you in the beginning when you set up your account. So that's if you continue to eat within the calorie range that you're in, just using the basic math and the algorithm they have, that's what it estimates you will go down to. And it might be right, it might not be right. Weight gain, weight loss, it tends to have more.
I know it's an estimate.
Oh, I'm sorry?
I said I know it's like an estimate, but like I'm trying to figure out, like some days I could be like, the estimate could be like 5 pounds lower than the day before, and I'm looking at what I ate, and there's really not that much of a
Oh,
difference.
okay. So I think what's happening there, I haven't ever looked at that. At least I haven't in a long time
Mhm.
because I haven't done calorie restriction for close to a decade ago. But what I'm thinking though is it's probably going off what you ate that day. So obviously we all eat more and less day to day, depending on the day and how we're feeling and all that, and what we ate. So probably on the days where it's saying, oh, you're going to be 5 pounds lighter in 5 weeks than it says you would be on another day, you probably ate more on that other day, calorically speaking. And that's probably where it's getting that number from. So it's saying if you eat the
Okay.
1,500 calories that day or whatever it was, then you're going to be down X. If you eat the 1,200 that you ate this day, you're going to be down Y. I don't
Okay.
think it's accurate. Like I said, I think it's going to be contingent on the macronutrients you're eating, which you're staying in that range, and you didn't mess up at all, which is great. You know, this is obviously one of the most difficult times of the year. So I think that's the key, and also the macro ranges they help to minimize our insulin response. So the insulin has everything to do with weight gain or weight loss. Since we're not really elevating our insulin too much because we're staying within the net carb range, because we're eating in those different proportions that we laid out, you'll probably continue to be consistent. Like you've all been in like the 1 to 3 pound a week range, like somewhere in there is usually where you guys are. So
Mhm.
I would say you could just
Mhm.
anticipate more consistent results as opposed to like whatever it spits out on a
Okay.
day-to-day
Mhm.
basis. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mhm.
Yep.
All good?
Mhm.
All
Yes.
right.
Yep.
Oh, where did my slide go? Uh-oh. Anyway, all right. Before we say goodnight, I wanted to get into a couple of things that we're going to do in the next week. I thought I put a slide in between these two, but clearly I didn't. So we're going to start that book club starting in the new year. So next week on Monday, I'll announce what the book is. We'll start really checking in about it. So in conjunction with the how's everyone doing this week and answering your questions, maybe there's a topic that I want to cover with you guys. It just comes to mind or someone asks about, and I think it's good for everyone to know. We're going to start the book club. So I know, Sheila, you've been reading a lot of books on the
Mhm.
subject, and I'm just going to pick one a month, and we're going to
Okay.
try and get through it to the best of our ability. I've never run a book club before. Fortunately, my girlfriend has. Have either of you been part of a book club before, whether for work or just?
Yeah. I
Okay.
do a lot of book clubs
No.
with my staff. So.
Oh, you have? Okay. So
Mhm.
how do those usually work? Is it usually like one book a month, or do you do longer than that?
Yeah, it just depends on how often we meet or talk about it. But yeah, about a month is about the right amount of time.
Okay. So yeah, so basically what I was envisioning for that, and then I'm obviously open to feedback interpretation based on experience doing it, is we'd start next week. So I'll announce what the book is. I'll give you guys a few days to get it. We'll start reading it. So on the second week of January, not next, the second week of January, we'll really start to discuss it. So
Mhm.
depending on how many pages or chapters there are, I'll ask the group to, we'll agree on what a reasonable amount of reading is. Some of the books are going to be longer than others,
Right.
of course. Some of them are going to be easier to understand than others. So I'll try to wean you guys in slowly, since I'm getting to
Right.
a point where I'm sure most people would be bored to death reading what I'm reading now. But it's good information to know, because sometimes even I'll come across something that I'm not aware of, and I'll try it out, or I'll look into it more and I'll say, oh, this is valid. And I wouldn't only try it for myself, but I would ask you guys to try it out. Like intermittent fasting is something that I really, really heard about the benefits a few months back. I've been doing it religiously every single day since I think beginning of November, and it's been really, really great in terms of just how I feel, how I look. I definitely, I don't feel bloated nearly as often. It's been pretty phenomenal. So as we come across different things, it might raise questions that you guys have had for a long time that for whatever the reason haven't come to light. So I'd like to add that to our group
Mhm.
discussions as well. And then the other thing I'm going to be doing with you guys, if you're open to it, is instead of doing like weekly challenges like every other week like we had been, and then you either get something free, whether it's the shirt or free add-on. What I wanted to do was maybe do month-long challenges. So I'll come up with a theme for the month, and it'll kind of come down to the wire. It'll be a little more competitive, obviously in a friendly way. But I feel like that way, when there are times and periods like we've been going through now, it keeps everyone, in the game no matter what, especially when we make the prize or whatever you want to call it at the end worthwhile. So any questions, comments, concerns about either of those things?
Nope. Sounds good.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you guys would want to incorporate into the group going forward, or you think those two, in addition to what we've been doing, is a good start?
I think that's good, but I also think I have one more request.
Sure.
I have a lot of difficulty coming up with a question a week.
Yeah.
So maybe if we could like pick a topic maybe and do research on it to make it easier. It's kind of tough to come up with something,
No, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know sometimes especially when you guys are in a groove, it's very, very hard to come up with questions. That's perfectly fine. So like I said, every month too, there's going to be a theme, and the challenge is going to be in coordination with that theme. So obviously we'll have questions on that topic that month, so you guys know it inside and out, and you learn more about it. And then depending on what it is, like I might actually have an intermittent fasting month that I'd ask you all to try. That's one of the first things I'm thinking of doing, but I haven't decided 100%. But yeah, we will be doing that, and I'll say, what are your questions on intermittent fasting, or what are your questions on this or that?
Yeah.
And that way, we can have a much better point of discussion about that. That's a good point. All right, anything else?
Okay, good.
Nope.
Everyone good? All right. So good call, guys. I will post this up in the group. As always, I'm going to be checking in tomorrow morning to see how we did progress-wise. And, we'll just keep on rocking. You guys are both doing great. And I know Lisa did well, too. And, we'll go from there. So have a good night, guys, and we will talk next week.
You too.
Okay.
All right, great. Thanks.
Take care.
Night.
Good night.